In a series of bold moves, newly confirmed Secretary of State Marco Rubio has signaled a dramatic shift in U.S. foreign policy, particularly in relation to censorship and the Taliban. On his first day in office, Rubio communicated to U.S. diplomats that the State Department would terminate programs that he believes open the door to censorship. This decision marks a significant departure from the Biden administration's approach to managing disinformation online. In a cable sent to diplomatic posts worldwide, Rubio criticized what he termed the censorship, suppression, and misinformation implemented by certain government agencies. He stated unequivocally that any program that could potentially limit the free speech of American citizens would be scrapped. While we will remain vigilant against enemy propaganda, we will not support any initiative that stifles the rights of the American people, he asserted. This shift aligns with President Trump's agenda, which includes an executive order prohibiting federal funds from being allocated for activities that infringe upon free speech. Under the Biden administration, the State Department's Global Engagement Center had been scrutinized for allegedly pressuring social media platforms to censor content related to COVID-19 disinformation. The center was ultimately dismantled during the final weeks of Biden's presidency, though concerns lingered that its functions could merely be rebranded under a different initiative. Rubio emphasized a return to the basics of diplomacy, arguing that the State Department's focus had strayed too far into ideological territory, which he believes has led to a misreading of global dynamics. He articulated a vision where every action taken by the department must enhance the nation's safety, strength, and prosperity. Furthermore, he indicated a hardline shift in U.S. foreign policy, particularly regarding the Taliban, which is expected to tighten under his leadership. In a notable escalation, Rubio has threatened to place bounties on Taliban leaders in response to the alarming possibility that more Americans are being detained in Afghanistan than previously reported. Following a recent prisoner swap between the U.S. and the Taliban, Rubio's remarks underscore a growing frustration with the Taliban's handling of American hostages. If this is true, he proclaimed via social media, we will have to immediately place a very big bounty on their top leaders, maybe even bigger than the one we had on bin Laden. This rhetoric echoes the combative style of Trump and reflects a potential return to more aggressive tactics in dealing with the Taliban, which has not been officially recognized by any nation since it regained control of Afghanistan in 2021. Rubio's stance seems to align with a more hawkish Republican perspective, particularly regarding issues of national security and countering terrorism. Rubio's confirmation as Secretary of State was unanimous, with the Senate voting 99-0 to approve him, underscoring his bipartisan appeal. His ascent to this pivotal role is framed against a backdrop of heightened tensions in international relations, especially with adversaries like China and the ongoing complications in the Middle East. As Rubio embarks on his new role, he is expected to prioritize revitalizing alliances and strengthening ties with global partners while also countering the malign activities of adversaries. With an eye toward re-emerging great power rivalries, Rubio's leadership may reshape U.S. foreign policy in significant ways as he seeks to navigate the complexities of a changing world landscape. Looking ahead, the implications of Rubio's policies will be closely scrutinized, particularly regarding how they affect America's standing abroad and the dynamics of diplomacy in an increasingly polarized global environment. The decisions made in the coming months could redefine U.S. engagement with both allies and adversaries, laying the groundwork for a new era in American foreign policy. In a significant political development, Pete Hegseth has officially taken the reins as the U.S. Secretary of Defense, a role he has described as the most important deployment of my life. The Senate confirmed Hegseth in a nail-biting 51-50 vote, with Vice President J.D. Vance casting the decisive vote to break the tie. This marks a pivotal moment for the 44-year-old combat veteran and Fox News personality who hails from Forest Lake, Minnesota. Hegseth's confirmation followed a contentious process during which he faced scrutiny over allegations of excessive drinking and aggressive behavior toward women. Despite these challenges, his supporters rallied behind him, underscoring his military background and television success. Hegseth's confirmation comes at a time when the Department of Defense, which oversees nearly 2.1 million service members and a substantial $850 billion budget, is navigating complex global security challenges. The vote was particularly notable as it was only the second instance in recent history where a vice president had to intervene to confirm a cabinet nominee, a reflection of the current polarized political landscape. Senators Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins were among those who opposed Hegseth, highlighting the division among lawmakers regarding his suitability for the role. Local sentiments in Forest Lake are largely supportive, with Mayor Blake Roberts expressing pride in Hegseth's accomplishments. Knowing his parents and what a great family that is, it doesn't surprise me that he's aspired to be where he's at today, Roberts commented. Reflecting the community's enthusiasm for having one of their own in such a high-profile position. The mayor indicated that the town would welcome Hegseth back with open arms, planning to host a celebration honoring his new role. Hegseth's academic credentials, having graduated from Princeton and Harvard alongside his military service, have positioned him as a prominent figure in defense policy circles. As he embarks on this new chapter, many will be watching closely to see how he navigates the myriad challenges facing the Department of Defense, from international conflicts to personnel issues. Looking ahead, Hegseth's leadership will be critical in shaping U.S. military strategy and addressing pressing national security concerns. His ability to unite a divided Senate and lead effectively will be closely scrutinized as he settles into his new role. As the global landscape continues to evolve, the implications of Hegseth's policies and decisions will be felt both domestically and abroad, underscoring the significance of this new appointment. In a controversial move that raises eyebrows across the public health landscape, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has declared his intention to continue profiting from anti-vaccine lawsuits even if confirmed as the Secretary of Health and Human Services (HHS) under President Donald Trump. This announcement comes as Kennedy, a prominent figure in the vaccine skepticism movement, prepares for his confirmation hearing scheduled to begin this week. His stance has sparked significant concern among health experts and public health advocates who fear the implications of his potential leadership on vaccine policy and public health initiatives. Kennedy, an environmental lawyer turned politician, stated in an ethics agreement that he would maintain his income from a consulting arrangement with the law firm Wisnerbaum, which is currently engaged in litigation against pharmaceutical giant Merck regarding its Gardasil vaccine. While he clarified that he does not directly represent plaintiffs, he earns a referral fee, 10% of any awarded fees, for cases he has helped initiate. I am not trying these cases, I am not an attorney of record for the cases, and I will not provide representational services in connection with the cases during my appointment, Kennedy noted. Gardasil is the only vaccine authorized in the U.S. to protect against human papillomavirus HPV, a major cause of certain cancers. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) endorses its use, asserting its safety and effectiveness. In stark contrast, Kennedy has been a vocal critic of vaccines, perpetuating debunked claims linking them to autism and other health concerns. This history raises troubling questions about his ability to lead a department that oversees critical public health initiatives, including the CDC and the Food and Drug Administration (FDA). Merck, responding to Kennedy's statements, reiterated the extensive body of scientific evidence supporting the safety of its HPV vaccines, emphasizing that the claims against them lack merit. An overwhelming body of scientific evidence, including more than 30 years of research and development along with real-world evidence generated by Merck and independent investigators, continues to support the safety and efficacy of our HPV vaccines, the company stated. Kennedy's controversial positions extend beyond vaccines. He has also expressed skepticism about fluoride in drinking water, a substance widely recognized for its role in preventing tooth decay. As a former chairman of the Children's Health Defense, he has actively campaigned against various public health measures, fostering a climate of distrust towards established medical guidelines. His nomination has been met with significant backlash. including a recent open letter from over 700 public health professionals urging senators to reject his confirmation, citing his unfounded fringe beliefs, which could undermine public health practices. As public health officials brace for Kennedy's confirmation hearing, they emphasize the importance of maintaining trust in vaccines, which have been proven to save lives. Vaccines have been proven to be safe and effective in laboratory testing and in real-world use in hundreds of millions of people over decades, stated Dr. Blase Polite, chief physician at the University of Chicago. He pointed out the tragic consequences of vaccine hesitancy, particularly in communities with low immunization rates. Concerns have also been voiced regarding Kennedy's potential policies on fluoride, which has long been a cornerstone of public health efforts. The CDC and numerous health organizations consider water fluoridation one of the greatest public health achievements, significantly reducing cavities and improving oral health. Public health experts warn that any move to diminish or remove fluoride could have dire implications for community health, further complicating efforts to promote health equity. As the nation watches closely, Kennedy's confirmation could set a precedent for how health policies are shaped in the future. His track record raises pressing questions about the influence of misinformation in public health decisions and the potential ramifications for Americans' health safety. With his confirmation hearing imminent, the outcome may not only affect the direction of health policy but could also signal a broader shift in the administration's approach to scientific consensus and public health advocacy. In conclusion, as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. prepares to navigate the confirmation process for a position that carries immense responsibility for the health of the American public, the stakes could not be higher. The implications of his appointment are far-reaching, with the potential to reshape public health discourse and policy for years to come. As the nation grapples with the ongoing challenges of vaccine hesitancy and public health misinformation, the outcome of his nomination will likely resonate well beyond the halls of government. In a move that underscores his commitment to reshaping the Department of Justice, President-elect Donald Trump has nominated former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi as his choice for Attorney General. This announcement follows the abrupt withdrawal of Representative Matt Gaetz from consideration for the role, a development that has garnered significant attention in political circles. Trump praised Bondi on his platform Truth Social, stating, "For too long, the partisan Department of Justice has been weaponized against me and other Republicans. Not anymore. Pam will refocus the DOJ to its intended purpose of fighting crime and making America safe again." This selection signals a continuation of Trump's strategy to populate his administration with allies who have staunchly supported him, particularly during his impeachment trials. Bondi's political background is notable. She served as Florida's Attorney General from 2011 to 2019, where she gained a reputation for opposing several Obama-era policies, including the Affordable Care Act, and for her controversial stance against same-sex marriage. Her tenure also included significant involvement in high-profile legal battles, notably those against Trump University, where she faced scrutiny regarding a $25,000 donation from Trump during ongoing fraud investigations. Her nomination comes at a time when the Trump transition team is navigating a series of potentially contentious cabinet appointments. Gaetz's brief candidacy had already generated controversy due to his previous investigation by the Justice Department over allegations related to sex trafficking, which he has vehemently denied. His withdrawal suggests an awareness of the political landscape as Senate votes on confirmations loom. In contrast, Bondi's nomination appears to have resonated more favorably within Republican ranks. Senator Lindsey Graham, poised to chair the Senate Judiciary Committee, expressed strong support, calling her selection a grand slam and predicting a swift confirmation process. Other GOP senators echoed this sentiment, with Senator Eric Schmidt praising Trump's choice as incredible. However, Bondi's nomination is not without its own controversies. Her previous support for Trump's unfounded claims of widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election has raised eyebrows, particularly her assertions regarding the legitimacy of the vote in Pennsylvania. Additionally, her past actions such as seeking to delay a death row execution due to a scheduling conflict with a campaign fundraiser have attracted criticism and could resurface during her confirmation hearings. As the Senate prepares to evaluate Bondi's nomination along with other key appointments including Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Secretary of Health and Human Services and Howard Lutnick for Secretary of Commerce, the political stakes remain high. The outcomes of these confirmations will not only shape the direction of the Trump administration but will also reflect the current dynamics within the Republican Party as it grapples with a growing list of controversial figures seeking prominent roles. Looking ahead, Bondi's confirmation hearings will likely serve as a critical litmus test for the Senate's willingness to support Trump's increasingly polarized cabinet choices. As the administration seeks to establish its agenda in the face of ongoing scrutiny, the implications of these early appointments will undoubtedly influence the political landscape for years to come. In a pivotal moment for the Biden administration's Senate Finance Committee Chairman Mike Crapo has rallied support for Scott Bessent's nomination as Secretary of the U.S. Department of the Treasury. Bessent, a seasoned figure in the financial industry with over 3 decades of experience, is set to face a crucial vote on his confirmation, which is expected to take place shortly. This nomination comes against a backdrop of intense scrutiny and procedural maneuvers from Senate Democrats who have expressed concerns regarding Bessent's financial practices while managing a hedge fund. Crapo, addressing the Senate floor, emphasized the critical role a Treasury Secretary plays in shaping economic policies that foster growth and manage the nation's financial interests both domestically and internationally. He stated, "Mr. Bessent's impressive background positions him for similar success," underscoring Bessent's qualifications to handle the complexities of the Treasury Department, especially during a time when the U.S. economy faces numerous challenges. Bessent's confirmation hearing has already revealed some contentious issues. Notably, Democrats raised alarms over his hedge fund, which reportedly utilized a tax loophole that reduced Medicare taxes by nearly $910,000 over 3 years. While Bessent has vowed to set aside funds to cover any potential tax liabilities, concerns persist, particularly from Senator Elizabeth Warren, who criticized his reluctance to submit his taxes for audit. "That's a real problem for someone who would be in charge of the IRS," Warren remarked, reflecting the heightened accountability expected from nominees in such influential positions. Despite these challenges, Bessent received a mixed endorsement from the Finance Committee, advancing with a 16-11 vote bolstered by support from 2 Democratic members. This bipartisan backing indicates a recognition of his credentials but also highlights the political tensions that continue to shape the confirmation process. Crapo noted that he hopes to see the full Senate vote on Bessent's nomination next week, a timeline that hinges on ongoing negotiations and potential delays from the minority party. Looking forward, the stakes of Bessent's confirmation extend beyond his individual qualifications. If confirmed, he will be tasked with reinstating and extending the tax cuts implemented during Trump's presidency, which he described as literally a pass-slash-fail exercise. Bessent has asserted that failure to renew these cuts could lead to economic calamity, particularly affecting the middle and working classes. As the Senate gears up for this crucial vote, the broader implications of Bessent's potential leadership at the Treasury could resonate throughout the financial landscape. His tenure may influence not only tax policies but also the administration's approach to economic recovery in the wake of the pandemic, as well as the ongoing discourse around wealth inequality and fiscal responsibility. In this unfolding narrative, Bessent's nomination stands at a crossroads, embodying both the promise of economic revitalization and the challenges of navigating a politically charged environment. The outcome of this vote will not only determine the future of the Treasury Department but could also set the tone for the Biden administration's economic agenda as it seeks to balance growth with equity in a complex and often contentious political landscape. In a significant move signaling his administration's priorities, President Trump embarked on a trip to Florida on January 26, 2025, to engage with state and local legislators. This meeting comes at a crucial time as lawmakers prepare to tackle pressing national issues including taxes, immigration, and energy policies. With a robust agenda, the discussions are expected to set the tone for the administration's legislative efforts in the coming months. During this visit, the Senate is gearing up to evaluate several key nominations put forth by President Trump. Among them are Pam Bondi for U.S. Attorney General, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Secretary of Health and Human Services, Howard Lutnick for Secretary of Commerce, and Kelly Loeffler for Administrator of the Small Business Administration. The Senate has already confirmed John Ratcliffe as Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense, and Kristi Noem as Secretary of Homeland Security, highlighting a swift move to fill critical cabinet positions. As these discussions unfold, the presidential prayer team has called for prayers for the President and members of Congress, emphasizing the importance of wisdom and guidance as they navigate complex legislation. For the Lord's will and purposes to be accomplished in the United States and around the world, they stated, underscoring the spiritual dimension that some constituents associate with political decision-making. In a related development, Howard Lutnick's nomination as Secretary of Commerce has raised eyebrows, particularly regarding his outspoken views on trade. Lutnick, the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, previously expressed strong opinions about the U.S. trade relationship with Ireland, famously stating, "It's nonsense that Ireland of all places runs a trade surplus at our expense." This sentiment reflects a broader strategy that advocates for the use of tariffs to enhance American competitiveness on the global stage, particularly as the United States seeks to reassess its trade agreements and partnerships. The implications of Lutnick's nomination could extend beyond immediate cabinet discussions. His stance might influence U.S. trade policy, potentially leading to a reassessment of tariffs and economic relations with countries like Ireland. Observers are already speculating on how such policies could spark a tit-for-tat trade war reminiscent of previous confrontations that have characterized international trade in recent years. As President Trump continues to solidify his administration's agenda, the outcomes of these meetings and confirmations will be pivotal. The convergence of domestic policy discussions and international trade considerations suggests a complex landscape ahead, where legislative action in Congress may have far-reaching implications not only for American businesses but also for global economic relations. Looking forward, all eyes will be on how these developments unfold and how they shape the trajectory of the Trump administration's second term. With the stakes high both domestically and internationally, the coming weeks could prove critical in defining the administration's legacy and its approach to governance in an increasingly interconnected world.